We could just
recording
do
in front of
so much. Yeah, I know. It's our favorite
He's so
series or whatever.
yeah.
But
No, he loved our food. He loved the hot dogs, and we're talking about cats. So from camp. But anyway, it was. I got the thing. He was like, "Yeah, I'll throw it on your Dropbox tonight. I'll throw it in something." I'm like, "Dude, where is this thing that I haven't seen?"
just throw it comes hurling, through
It
the
comes
roof or
hurling at
something.
me like 40 miles an hour at my head. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I'll look at it."
Hello. Yeah.
It should be interesting to see because I guess he's throwing it to me because maybe I'm in it too. I don't know. Mark said he put this together, so this was something that Mark Light put together. So he must have video.
Yeah. By the way, I was
That's what Josh
curious.
said.
Yeah. I was curious, unrelated to rivers, by rivers made me think of water. Did you guys have any flooding issues up where you are today?
Find your mouthpiece and put on your jock straps. It's the Sports Blitz with Doug and Robbie.
Okay, how long is your show?
You guys have such a great setup.
Hey, listen, if you're under a rock or if you're in a cave, come on out and listen to our episode.
It was fun talking baseball. I love talking Red Sox. I love talking coaching.
I don't care because I would rather not be in MLB season than have to sit and watch the colossal embarrassment.
Hey, hello, I am Bloom. Yeah, it's Doug and Robbie from the Sports Blitz. I just wanted to find out whether you need some pitching.
There you go. In 5, 4, 3.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Sports Blitz. I'm Doug, as usual, and we have Robbie that's here also, I think. I think he's here. He could be sleeping, but no, I think he's here. Robbie, how you doing tonight? Wait a minute. I think he actually is sleeping.
Whoa.
He actually is sleeping.
Sorry, Doug.
A very sleepy topic for tonight, so that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I just was I was so indulged by this topic. I was just sort of I was
Haven't
taking
even mentioned the topic yet.
Yeah, I know. Just taking a little snooze there, but I know I'm good. I'm good. Glad to be here. I'm just curious. You said at the top that as usual you are Doug. Who are you when you're unusual?
I am not Doug. I am a superhero called the Peacemaker.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, you asked.
I can.
So,
No. Listen, I can already think of a
Thought
few
I'd tell you.
places
So just in case, I do on my phone. So if I'm part of the Avengers. So if the Avengers do call, I may have to leave quickly. But it looks like everything's quiet.
Hey,
quiet
listen,
right now. So
I can think of a couple places in particular right now, at least in the world, where a peacemaker may be in dire need. So if you got to go, I am more than happy to hold down the fort.
So far, we're good.
Sports Blitz will be in good hands if you do need to take off.
We're good right now so far. But so if you're under a rock or in a cave somewhere, I don't think you should come out right now. I think later on down the road, I think you probably could, but come out and see our episode and then go back in, which is probably the best idea to do. We have our sponsor for tonight. Tonight's Sports Blitz episode is Simon Organizing. Feeling overwhelmed with a room, cabinet, or drawer that needs to be organized, Robbie? I know you have 1,000 of them, and just look at your room.
Always.
Contact Simon Organizing. They will work with you to help you transform the drawer, the cabinet, the closet to a space that you'll absolutely love and a joy to be in. Then again, if you're spending a lot of time in the closet, then I'm not sure what's going on there, but that's okay. But anyway, Simon Organizing, creating a stress-free home. And tonight, our focus tonight is I'm actually going to ask one question, and then I'm just going to let Robbie go. Tonight's episode. Brace yourselves, people. Tonight's episode is called The Red Sox, The Sinking Ship. That's what it's called. So we're going to be talking about, as you can tell, we're going to be talking about the Red Sox. We're going to be talking about a little bit about the trade deadline. We're going to be talking about what has happened since the trade deadline, and how are they playing now? How are they, what's going on with them, and how are they doing? So I just want to throw out a warning, to people that are out there that it could be, if I bring up this sign and you'll see this. This is called Robbie Rant Time. That is the time that you may want to turn down the sound. Okay, so you got to be really careful. So it may be Robbie Rant Time, and I think it's going to happen a lot during this episode. So we're going to jump right into this, and I'm just going to ask the first question right up front, Robbie, to you. And I want to ask, who is directing this Red Sox sinking ship? Is it, number one, is it Chaim Bloom, which is the front office, or is it Alex Cora, or is it the players? What is going on?
In one word, Doug, it sucks. It all sucks, and I've had it up to here.
Wait, what's here?
Yeah, you can't see. I think my hand is basically out of shot at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty high up there, Robbie. It's pretty high up there.
I mean, I am just so frustrated with this Red Sox team, and I'm frustrated because deep down I feel like they should be better than this. They have shown us at different points during this season that they can be a contender, that they can be a top dog in the AL East, in the American League. And by the way, they've been using pretty much the same team the entire season. In fact, they just added, Chris Sale, back to the rotation, which was like the one bright spot over the past 3 weeks, which was the Baltimore series in general, especially Sale coming back and pitching very well, by the way, in Saturday's win over the Orioles, the lowly worst team in Major League Baseball. And I hate to say that because my sister used to work for the Orioles, but does no longer, so I feel more comfortable saying it. The worst team in baseball, Baltimore Orioles. But yeah, it's sinking ship. It's full on Titanic mode right now, Doug. I mean, this is not. I'll say this. This is not 2011 chicken and beer level sinking ship or collapse or whatever you want to call it. But this is definitely in the silver medal spot to that team, because a season that has just been marked so far with so much promise and so much hope and contention has just literally the last month since the MLB trade deadline, almost literally the last 2 to 3 weeks has just been marked by just a sea of disappointment after disappointment. And it's not good. And I don't listen. I will say this, on sort of looking from the optimistic, or attempting to look from a slightly optimistic point of view. When you look at the Red Sox schedule going forward, sort of coming down, the home stretch here into basically the final month of the season, September, their schedule is very favorable, without a doubt. And I feel like
favorable to lose or to win?
To win.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Favorable to win. I think it was rated as the second or third, actually easiest schedule over the last month is what I think I saw. Again, I could be wrong, but that's what I thought I had seen. So if you look at it from that perspective, there is still definitely hope for this team. And this team has shown, even when they've hit some rough patches before, that they can turn it around and get sort of back in the driver's seat. But it's easy to kind of look at the team right now and just sort of throw your hands up and go, where's a white flag when I need it? Actually, hold on. Let me just get a little prop here. Let me just get a little prop. I know it's not.
People, he's leaving the set.
I know it's not. I know it's not a flag, but it's sort of the best I can do. Let me sort of wave the white wave the white napkin or the white Kleenex here and sort of blow my just frustrations out. Just I'm, yeah. That I'm just I don't know what to expect.
Robbie, please, I think you're holding back. You tell it like it is. Give us your honest opinion and stuff like that, because I think you're really holding back. I really do. I think you're holding back.
The funny thing is I actually may be, but but I don't know what to expect out of this team in the final month of the season. We're basically at that point where I feel like by this point in the season you should have an idea. Even last year, you want to talk about just dumpster fires of a team. I mean, 2020, at least this is nowhere near as bad as 2020 was. At least we're actually in contention.
There it is, folks.
Late August, early September, compared to where we were last year. But at the same time, at least you knew by the end of the season what to expect from that team. This team, I don't know. I don't know which way this ship is going to go. Is it going to continue to sink? Could it rise up? I could see it going either way. And like I said, with it being the last month of the season, that's a scary thought to not have a be on your team, especially when you are still in a tight playoff race, in the last month and a half of the season. I'm not gonna sort of jump off my soapbox. Actually, Doug, I mean, I know.
No, there's more of your soapbox to talk about, but I totally get it.
I am the Red Sox and baseball guy, but I would obviously, I'm sure you were going to anyway, but I would love to sort of hear your sort of takes on this. Also, sort of give me a time to sort of to stew
calm down a little bit.
To sort of calm down before my next rant.
Grab some water. Get some water. Grab. You got a faith or anything? Put your head between your legs, that kind of thing. I totally understand. My feeling on it is that I think there's a couple of things, and I think the front office was the issue this time, and I don't think it was Chaim Bloom per se. Although, wait a minute, he's in the front office, but I don't think it was him per se. I think he wanted to go after some people. I don't think that they wanted. I think he had some pressure from above. I'm not going to mention any names. John Henry. I'm not going to mention any names at all. Yeah, I have a little cough. I'm not going to mention any names right now, but I think there was some pressure to keep the money at a certain level. And I just think, I mean, just think of the trade deadline, man. The trade deadline, we need a first baseman. We need a first baseman. We know exactly the first baseman we wanted. And did we get that person? No. And who got that person?
Yep. Well, I was about to say, there was one sitting out there. There was one sitting out who, by the way, was drafted by our organization, who you were just alluding to, who ended up, you're right, and is now rocking some pinstripes there in the Bronx. Is actually doing, other than, a little stint on the disabled list or injured list or COVID list, whatever you want to call it. Is making
one of those lists,
making a mark so far in his time there in New York. So
yeah. So I mean, I think a lot of the blame goes to the front office. I think the start out of the gate was amazing. Like, what the heck is going on here? What's happening?
Was unexpected.
Now, the other
completely unexpected.
Don't expect it, but this is the thing. This is the thing where I kind of go, well, let's hold on for a second, okay?
Yeah.
What were the expectations before the season started? Were there any expectations? Do we
No.
expect to make the playoffs? Do we expect to go to the World Series? What's the
No.
expectation? We have Alex Cora back. We have a whole
Sure,
bunch of new players. We got Sale coming back later on down the road, which he's already back, but I'm talking about the beginning of the season. What kind of expectations were there? Absolutely nothing. There was no expectations whatsoever. So if there's no expectation, and now everybody's all pissed off, where are we
What did
coming
you
from here?
expect? Yeah, what do you expect?
Well, that's what you're making a point. My
I
point
know.
is
Yeah,
that there were
I
no
agree with your point.
expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were no expectations up front. So if we make it to the, I don't know, first round of the playoffs, whatever, holy crap. How the hell did we do that?
Yeah.
There were no expectations up front.
Yeah.
So the fact is that I'm kind of torn between, being a Sox fan and wanting them to win, and actually without emotional attachment, which is hard to do here in Boston because we're very emotional fans all the time, as you can tell by the intro rant from Robbie. We are emotional fans, and that's what happens. We always want our teams to win. Hey, listen, the last 20 years, expectation is Brady's going to win every freaking Super Bowl he's in. The Red Sox.
Every team's expectation in the last 20 years is
Red Sox are going to win. The expectation is that everybody's going to win.
Yeah.
2007, 2008, Celtics win. 2011, the Bruins win. I mean, we're a winning we're a winning city, and I totally get that. But we do get spoiled. But the fact is that with the team that we have, that we have constructed and that Chaim Bloom constructed, the start was really, really a good start. We were like, wait a minute, whoa, what's going on here? We're actually winning some games, and we're winning like a lot of games. But there's no expectation. So, and the other factor is on the emotional side is that the Yankees are actually winning. When we've had their number ever since the beginning of the season. So it really just like you said, it really kind of sucks in that way in which there was no expectation. We started winning, and now right after the trade deadline, when we were supposed to get some pieces that everybody's talking about, and we end up with one guy,
Kyle Schwarber
from Washington, who was about to. Yep, I got a question about him too in a little bit, but I think what I'm saying is that I think obviously it's the front office. I also think the Red Sox are making some mistakes, and I'm trying to figure out. And the mistakes are base running mistakes. I'm hearing all the time base running mistakes and having bases loaded and not and 2 outs or 1 out and getting in double plays and this kind of stuff. Where's the offense that we're so well and good about? I guess
runners in scoring position, absolutely.
Yeah, runners in scoring position has been horrible since the trade deadline. So it's one of those things where there's no expectation here, but the fandom is here, and then you're trying to figure out and I'm trying to figure out whether Alex Cora is actually talking to them about, hey guys, this is what we need to do here. I mean, I'm assuming he's doing that. We don't know, but we're assuming that he's doing that. So again, I think you're right. I think we have to get back on track. But I think number one, it was the trade deadline. That was the front office, and I think that there was some leeway, but not a ton of leeway. And I think that the other thing is that these really simple, easy base running mistakes. I mean, please, guys, come on, this is crazy. So that's what I think is kind of going on here. So my thought is that it's more on the front office side, but it's also the players that are on the team. We're going to talk about some of the players a little bit later too, but I mean, I think just talking about the trade deadline, Robbie. So Baseball America, right, finally did its ranking for the minor leagues and said that the Red Sox are number 9, top 10 out of the whole league. They're number 9 in prospects.
Wow.
So let me ask you a question. If we're number 9, how come we couldn't go get somebody? How come we couldn't go get a first baseman?
No, you're right. But it's interesting because the whole sort of narrative, surrounding the trade deadline and beyond is that the reason why we couldn't go get some of those guys was because we did not have as much to offer in that same supposed top 10 farm system than some of these other teams that landed the top name. So I guess it sort of begs the question. And again, this is sort of, something where we obviously don't have the luxury of being behind the scenes here, but were they truly outbid, or did they not go as hard after guys who maybe they should have because of the reasons you were just talking about with, sort of the ownership involvement and other things like that. And, just sort of, if we have such a great farm system, you're absolutely right. If we have a top 10 farm system, we should be able to leverage those prospects into a lot more than what we got. Period. End of story. And so the big question is, and I don't have the answer to it, is why didn't we? And, you're hearing conflicting narratives coming out, trying to explain it away. But the bottom line is that it sounds like we should have had the pieces to go out and get more done than we did. So then that begs the question, well, Chaim Bloom, well, John Henry, well, whoever else, why didn't we? Why, what the hell, basically? Why couldn't you have, it's a great question. And, it really, I think as Red Sox fans, I think we deserve an answer to it. Will we ever get one? Who the hell knows? But at the same time, hearing that here, and I hadn't seen that ranking, hearing that just kind of, it sort of raises the blood boil a little bit on what already was a high level of frustration over the trade deadline. Because if we're supposedly, like I said, a top 10, farm organization, if we supposedly have a top 10 farm system, then why didn't we use it? What are we trying to prove here? What is, what is Chaim Bloom so, I don't know. I don't know the answer, and it's just frustrating that we could have used those pieces to get more and sew up some really needed spots on our roster, and we didn't do it. So there you go.
Yeah, maybe we should just get Chaim Bloom on the phone. Hello, Mr. Bloom. Yes, wanted to know, Robbie especially wants Sports Blitz, Sports Blitz. We want to know why you didn't use the farm system. So we're just going to say WTF. Hung up. I guess he didn't really want to talk about it.
Oh, man.
I don't know, but I
don't. Your call. I'm shocked he keeps taking your calls. I mean,
he does take my calls occasionally, and he's not working. He takes my calls all the time. No, I don't know. I don't have any idea. The only thing I could think of is the fact that there were a lot of other teams who had some pretty good prospects too, or had some different needs, and they took them as opposed to taking this stuff with the Red Sox. So I don't know either. It's a mystery. Maybe we'll find out down the road, and maybe we won't. The fact is that we didn't get what we wanted. We did get a guy, however, Yeah, we did get a guy, however, named Kyle Schwarber from
Yeah.
Washington. So I wanted to ask you a question about Mr. Kyle there. I know he's been injured, but he says, I just wanted to ask you two questions out of the one question, which is two out of one, is an A and B. The first A is good trade, and B is that he says his legs feel good. I know he had some groin issue and another leg issue, and he said everything feels good now, and he's ready to play. And I know he DH'd a little bit in the last few games, which is fine, but he's ready to play, which means he's ready to play defense too. So where does he play? Is it a good trade? Where does he play? And what what kind of positioning do we use him, and how do we use him?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, first of all, listen, I like Kyle Schwarber. I really do. I mean, I
He
remember
likes
him
you
back.
too, Robbie.
Yeah, I pretty. Yeah, we're tight. We're tight like this,
Yeah, you can call him on the
But
phone.
I mean, I remember when when he was back with the Cubs when they won the World Series. I mean, he played a big role there, and was sort of Mr. Clutch and Mr. Power hitter there in Chicago. And I know he's been, I think that's the thing with Kyle Schwarber is the injuries. It's sort of the age-old injury prone guy who, when he's on, can can definitely make a difference, especially offensively. Because he's got the power down. Obviously, can he hit consistently and hit, for average as well? Well, that is more of a question mark to me. But I think if you're going to get, I mean, obviously, I would have liked to get, we just talked about, I would have liked to get a lot more than Kyle Schwarber. But if you're going to get, something, I mean, it's not a terrible guy. I will say this: I think that the outfield situation just got a whole lot more interesting because, as you and Red Sox fans probably have heard, and if you haven't heard by now, I'm not quite sure why you're watching this show, or if you're even, if you're a Red Sox, you're probably not a Red Sox fan, but good old friend Travis Shaw is back. Obviously, we claimed him off waivers within the past, week, and he has joined the team and was playing.
Yeah, Robbie, I think they needed a ball retriever, so that's what he's going to be doing. He's going to be one of the ball.
Well, but I will say this is that with the departure, no, obviously, I think the reason why I say now the outfield, sort of alignment has become more interesting is because you already had Delbeck at first. But it sounded like originally they wanted maybe to try to slide Schwarber in at first base, position that he has barely played, which I think is very interesting. But now you're back to having two proven first basemen, and Bobby Delbeck and Travis Shaw, obviously. So now that obviously leaves the question of, well, where does that leave Schwarber? All right, let's look at the DH spot. Obviously, JD Martinez is a far better DH option than Kyle Schwarber is, if we're being honest. Okay, now let's look at the outfield. Well,
I also think, Robbie, sorry to interrupt, but I also think that you really need to have JD and Schwarber in there together in some capacity because we're talking about two heavy hitters.
But that's my point. But then when you look at the outfield, which is where Schwarber has played the most positionally, obviously, you look at the fact that we already have Alex Verdugo, very strong fielder, very strong hitter. Need him in the do we need him in the lineup? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Hunter Renfroe has really come on strong, and by the way, can play that right field pretty damn solid. Do we need him in the lineup? I can make the argument, that he would be very helpful in the lineup down the stretch. Enrique Hernandez has kind of, sewn himself in to that leadoff spot, has become one of our more consistent leadoff hitters of the ones that we've sort of trotted out there.
Except he can't catch.
What?
Can't catch. Can't catch the baseball, man.
but I mean, I don't know, but he can definitely
Yeah.
throw the Bobby. I remember, there's been a couple times where he's made some really nice defensive, assists out there in center field. But then again, okay, so maybe it's not Kike. Duran, you have Duran, who again is sort of not quite sure what to make of him. So again, but Schwarber hasn't really, as far as I know, Schwarber's main outfield position has been left field. Well, that's kind of spot, I believe, kind of belongs to Alex Verdugo at this point. So I don't know. You've got a bunch of pieces that, technically, in an ideal world, you'd love to have them all in that lineup, but at the same time, I don't know where you saw all those guys or how you kind of position position that lineup, especially, really down the stretch when the games are crucial there. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna kind of lay this one off on for you, Doug, for your thoughts, because I don't have a good answer to be honest.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I think he may take some time at first. I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily do that. But if you want everybody that you just mentioned to stay where they're at, then obviously, you got to put them somewhere. You got to put them in a DH role or somewhere else. Obviously he's ready to get out there on the field. So you just got to figure out kind of what you need to do. Would I necessarily play him at first base? No, but if I have to get him out there, I would, to keep JD out there in some capacity. I guess I would do that. I would put JD as the DH. TK's been playing pretty well, but not lately. I mean, he's playing okay. I wouldn't be adverse to. I mean, I know he's been a good. He's been a fairly good, if not, pretty good leadoff hitter. So Alex Cora's got some things he's got to think about.
Well, I think,
and where are you going to play Shaw? I mean, did you get Travis Shaw to play? Because he could play multiple positions. So did you get Travis Shaw to come in for Delbeck? Is Shaw going to be playing first? Because that's a much better, defensive first baseman, although he's 104,000 years old. But other than that, we've been there, done that with Travis Shaw. So, and we know he's not the greatest hitter in the world. So it's one of those things where do you place him? Where do you put him?
Can I ask you a question related to that? Out of the three potential first basemen, Bobby Delbeck, Travis Shaw, and Kyle Schwarber, which one of those three would you most want to have in the lineup for bat only? If you just were basing it on their bat, which one of those three would you most want to put in the lineup consistently, we'll call it?
That would be Kyle Schwarber.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree.
And I wouldn't even think about that twice.
No. Listen, I'm with you there. So again, that begs the question. Now to kind of talk about Schwarber's, okay, they're kind of talking about more as if he's going to be an outfielder. Again, where are they going to put him in the outfield? There's nowhere to put you.
My prediction. I'm going to tell you this much right now. If they put him in the outfield, I don't think Kike is going to play. I'm just putting it out there as a kind of like a prediction.
Because Schwarber's usually a left fielder. So are you going to move Verdugo over to center then? I guess you kind of have to.
I don't know. I mean, Schwarber doesn't play first either, so it's one of those things where.
No, I know. I understand that.
Don't really know. I would keep. What I would do is, if Kike plays. Does he play center?
Yeah, Kike plays center.
Okay.
Well, doesn't Kike also play second as well? So maybe you could keep Kike in there at second.
Yeah, he does.
I guess that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that point.
Yeah.
is that you can keep Kike at second. But again, so basically then, I mean, I think then the question sort of becomes then, Schwarber, because you can move Verdugo probably over to center. I agree with you there. Move him over to right and, sort of slot somebody else in there to center. I guess the question then sort of becomes, Duran or Schwarber. Sort of take your pick between those two. And again,
I would pick Schwarber. Just for
I
his
think for the bat especially.
I mean, I'm not
definitely-
saying Duran is bad, but again, he's, Schwarber's got the experience. He's the vet. I mean, that's what I would do.
No, I'm in agreement with you.
I mean, I love Duran's hitting. I think he's doing really super well.
I just think
and I love his base running too. His base running is incredible. He's really fast.
I just think the thing with Duran, I mean, again, he's a young guy. He's only a month or two into his time. I think he hasn't developed a consistency yet at the plate. But I mean, I'm not saying, again, it's still early. I mean, he's still got.
That's way early in his development, Rob.
But speed wise, and especially defensively, I think he's definitely got a lot of potential on all fronts, really. So no, I agree overall with him. I would definitely still put Schwarber in there over him, especially for the stretch run.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's definitely a good idea. It should be interesting now that Schwarber's ready. Should be interesting to see what Alex does. Now, does he switch it up depending on the team he's playing? Does he switch it up like, get Schwarber in there for a couple of games or maybe a series and then switches them? It should be interesting to see what Alex Cora does with the lineup and with Schwarber ready to go.
Yeah.
Is he really? I mean, that's just a report. Is he really ready to go? Or do they want to really give him a little bit more time? Because these were, the groin injury could be just a pain in the butt kind of injury that can come back really quickly. And that's why when you think about having him play first base, if he's got to do a stretch. I'm not sure if I would put him there with the leg injuries that he's had. So that's why you got to stick him in the outfield somewhere. So again, it's one of those things where it should be interesting to see what kind of what their thoughts are, and we'll know what their thoughts are by the lineup.
Yeah,
we'll just figure it out just by what put in there. So that's it's kind of interesting. Thinking about lineups and that kind of thing. So I wanted to ask you, and this may be a loaded question, but who has been the Red Sox most frustrating player? And I need to tell you that this is an extensive question. It doesn't have to be too long or whatever, but by the way, there could be more than one answer to this question. Not just one.
Wow.
Unless you think it is. And again, there's no right or wrong. It's what your opinion is. There's no right or wrong.
Most
frustrating player. Somebody who's basically not doing their job. Somebody who's not hitting, or it's just, you got bases loaded. It's like, oh, man, that was frustrating because, it was crazy. So, most frustrating. And again, it could be a few players too. Because I think we touched upon this the last time we talked about
the problem is
they've all been frustrating.
Well, recently
every single player on the Red Sox have been frustrated.
But then I think that's the thing. It's like, it's kind of like, in terms of what have you done for me lately? Yeah, man, I can name Devers, I can name Bogarts, sort of the entire top half of the lineup that cannot come through with men in scoring position right now to save their life. But if we're talking about overall, I don't know. I honestly don't have an answer because the guys that I expect to perform are overall as a as a whole performing, and the guys that I'm less confident in, well, they're playing like I'd be less confident in them. They're sort of living up to expectations for me. So
Right.
I guess it sort of depends on the question. Are we talking about sort of this like sort of immediate sample size, or are we talking about in general? Because sort of either whichever way that it goes, yeah, it's sort of two different answers.
Yeah, I think it's kind of more of a general question. Um, that's kind of what I thought to begin with. What if it would be a general question versus a trade deadline? I mean, you could do either one if you want, but I'm just saying kind of more of an in general kind of situation.
And I know I don't know, because as a whole, like I said, there's been no one player that I can think of where I look at that and be like, that guy should be playing so much better than he is. Like, I feel like guys are kind of living up to my expectations of them as a whole. Like I said, right now, like I said, it's sort of Devers and Bogarts are definitely on the current frustrated list, given their lack of ability in a sense to come through in the clutch right now. But I'd say, like I said, if we're talking in general, I hate to sort of I hate to sound like I'm evading the question, but I truly don't have anybody in mind that as a whole is really, really frustrating me right now, because the ones that are frustrating to watch are ones that I expect to be frustrating to watch already.
Right. No, no, and again, I totally get that. I think it's, I think some of it could be more of a team effort, but there could be some very specific players. Just recently, men on base, JD Martinez striking out for a 5-3 loss. I mean, Frenchie Cordero.
Oh,
But this is what I'm talking about. These got Bobby Dahlbeck. How's Bobby Dahlbeck?
well, Bobby Delbeck's one of those guys that you unfortunately have come kind of expected to be either homer or strike out. He's kind of one of those.
Right. No, and he's got 17 walks and 122 strikeouts. So he's he's not he's. I mean, does he catch the ball first? I mean, I guess. Um, Christian Vasquez. I mean, is one. He's got a .645 OPS. How's Garrett Richards playing? Your favorite.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I didn't know we were necessarily talking about. It sounded like you were more talking about position players. Pitching wise, I have at least one name.
No,
that
I
stands
didn't.
right out
I didn't.
to me.
I said who has been the Red Sox most frustrating player. So
Right, the way
it's
yeah,
a general question.
If we're talking about pitching, Eduardo Rodriguez, 100%, because the guy, some of these starts since he's been back, he looks like the ace of the rotation that he should be. Otherwise, he just goes out and lays a complete egg. I just look at him and be like, you are supposed to be the ace. Besides maybe Chris Sale, you are supposed to be the ace of this pitching rotation, and you're not pitching like it. So I'd say, yes, and if we're looking at pitching wise, 100%, I would go with Eduardo Rodriguez, because the dude cannot seem to quite get consistent, and it's been driving me absolutely crazy.
Yeah, my question was not specific to pitchers or first baseman. It was everybody. It was Red Sox most frustrating player. So it was just kind of a throughout the whole team.
Right.
You're right about Eduardo Rodriguez. He's got an ERA above 4, so it totally makes sense that he would, that he would be quite frustrating. The Marwin Gonzalez thing, he was finally shown the door, which is something that was, completely, it was important. Since July 22nd, JD Martinez has 3 homers, and a .666 OPS in 99 plate appearances. So, I think he's playing a little bit better, just recently, but not a whole lot.
No.
Rafael Devers and Xander Bogaerts are squeezing the bat into sawdust in big situations. So it's it's one of those things where, and I wish Matt Barnes would kind of learn how to freaking close a game. That would be kind of nice.
Recently, especially, I mean, first half, he looked like an all-star closer. The second half, he's kind of come back down to earth. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. In terms of, right now, Matt Barnes is very frustrating to watch. I mean, yeah, it's just right now, it's not good all across the board for sure. And I think that's why there's an overall high level of frustration with this team right now, because I feel like they should be playing better than they are, and the fact that they're not at the most key time, it's just like, what are you doing? Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, even the former reliable Nate Eovaldi is still, he had that meltdown against the Jays. I mean, nothing seems to be going right for him right now. So I think the question is really broad, and I think what I was just trying to do was trying to come up with with just a few people that we personally, both of us, are kind of frustrated with, and it could be anything from pitching to first or second base or whatever, hitting, defense. It didn't matter. It was kind of a general question, but yeah, I mean, especially lately, it's been it's been it's actually been really frustrating lately, especially right after the trade deadline. So it's been incredibly frustrating. On the flip side of that, who do you think has gotten better? And I'm talking about any player on the team, whether it's pitcher or first baseman, second base, outfield, doesn't matter. Who's gotten better?
I actually have a couple names that sort of pop into mind. First is Ottavito. I think when he sort of started here, he was a little bit kind of wasn't quite sure what to think about it, but now he's turned into a pretty decent setup man. I think, all things considered, has been pretty solid. I feel like in the late inning situations when he's been called upon, I know he's had to close a few times, and it's been pretty solid there. But the other one, I kind of mentioned it before, is Hunter Renfroe. I think Renfroe has done a really good job sort of coming into his own, especially offensively. He's been tearing the cover off the ball on several occasions over the past couple of months, and has really been showing that power. Has also been showing the ability to sort of come up, big in big situations. So I'm glad to see the progress that he has made. I would say that I would still, even though I admit that he's maybe not high on other people's list, I think Enrique Hernandez has got better overall as a product. But here as the season has gone along, like I said, he has transformed into sort of the most reliable leadoff man in that lineup. And I think his bat especially has provided some pop for this team at the top of the lineup and in key situations, which I've liked. So yeah, I would say that sort of right off the bat, sort of off the top of my head, those three I think really stand out as players who kind of started off the year sort of sort of at the bottom or middle of the pack there sort of have moved their way up as things have gone along for sure.
Hmm. No, I agree with that. Yeah, absolutely, I agree with those players that you had mentioned. Um, I'm going to go with Enrique Hernandez, who started out, obviously very, very slow start, very slow start at the beginning of the year, beginning of the season.
Just for the record, you know that Enrique and Kike Hernandez are the same person, correct?
Yes, I know.
Okay, just making sure.
I know. I'm agreeing with you. So
Okay.
I know that. I know that. But that's what I'm agreeing with. So, but the fact is that he's doing super well. I mean,
Oh no,
270,
I'm with you.
271 hitting in April. We got 328 in June. We got 317 in July. He started out with a 230 average and was up to 317, and then we're talking close to 381 now or so. I mean, this is stats that were at the beginning of August. So yeah, I totally agree with you with Kike Hernandez being, every once in a while you see him, falter a little bit. I mean,
True, yeah.
But I think everybody does. But
Right.
I think he's been the most consistent lately, and probably one of the better players with that had a slow start that everybody was like, oh, where is this guy? What is going on? But I do agree with you with that assessment of him. I just happen to have some stats right here, so I just want to kind of throw those stats out.
Yeah, man,
But yeah, no, just wanted to kind of throw it out there. But I think I think you're right about that. I think it's something that is that I agree with, and he's definitely shown. You see him hit, or you see him, play defense, or that kind of thing, and you're like, oh man. He does have some times when he's not playing well, and again, I don't think any of them playing well now. So my, kind of my, I guess my final thought question, and not our final thoughts, but our kind of to wrap up a little bit with the whole with the whole Red Sox kind of situation is what do you think the Red Sox need to do now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, obviously they're going to have to get better with what they have, and they're going to have to find a way to, over this last month and a half, or even less than that, less than a month and a half, almost basically just a month now, they're going to have to find that spark, whatever it may be. Because like I said, deep down, I feel like they can do it because they've shown at different times of the season that they can do it. And with the schedule, like I said, looking, over this last month more favorably to them on the winning side of things, if they get going on a bit more of a consistent run, I'm not talking about just sweeping the Orioles one time, because of course they fell right back to earth, being swept by the Yankees. But if they can, really get high, as as the old saying goes in sports, get hot during the last month of the season, and find their way back, into a playoff spot. This team can, I believe personally, can be a tough out for anybody. It could be a contender in the playoffs, but they have to get there first. Obviously, right now, that is a big question mark if they are going to get there. I believe they can still get there. I still have that hope, given what I've seen for them as a whole body of work this season, especially knowing Alex Cora, that they can do this. The question is, will they? And I don't know either way, to be completely honest. I don't know if they are going to do it, or if I can see them righting the ship. I can see them just sinking right on down into that ocean right there. It's a frustrating position to be in. Like I said before, as not just as a fan, but as somebody who just watches this team on a consistent basis, just to see the potential and to see when it matters most, the lack of achievement. It's they basically they have to basically sink or swim at this point. They're either there's only a month left. You have no more room for error. You have no more time to sort of get your feet wet. You either gotta dive in and swim, to going back to a favorite of our Rivers days, swim to non-touch pond and back, or dive in, go straight down to the bottom. So I hope that it's the former, not the latter, but at the same time,
Fun phrases from Robbie Johnson.
yeah, hey, that's what I'm here for. Rants and fun phrases. You're telling me, and chopping in random Rivers references when no one would expect a Rivers reference to be made either.
Very
Just
nice.
keep it on your toes there. So, yeah, to get back to answering your question, they just plainly, I know it sounds kind of cliche, they got to turn it on. They got to find a way to turn it on. And I don't know what that's going to be. I hope it's something. I hope it happens. But I could see this. Again, I know we're using a lot of ship references today. Of course, our title literally is talking about a sinking ship, so it's fitting. But I can see the ship going either direction. It could either be the full-on Titanic, or it can right itself.
Wow. A Titanic reference too. Wow.
Yeah. I'm chock full of them tonight, Doug. I'm as sharp as
You are. You're phrase boy tonight. You're cliche boy.
Dropping them in there,
Robbie
Whenever you
Johnson,
bring up
cliche
boats
boy
of water,
tonight.
The only thing you did set me up for was dropping I'm the captain now reference. Other than that, although I kind of just worked in there on my own. But
Captain, my captain.
yeah, seriously. But they got to turn it on. Period. End of story.
Well, I actually think you're right. It's pretty. It's pretty obvious.
I think I'm right, so
it's pretty obvious, with all the cliches and all the, sinking ship and the nunsuch and the, that kind of stuff. You can either swim with the turtles, or you can, swim across the nunsuch, the Camp Nunsuch, and which I don't even know if it's around anymore, but swim across, that's what we used to do.
Camp Nunsuch is still there, still having kicking.
Swimming across. Well, I had heard some things that it's not going to be long, not long for this world. But anyway,
that's a story for a different show. That's a story for a different episode, I guess.
Totally for a different episode. But with all the cliches aside, I think you're right. I think they need to turn it on. They need to find a way. Alex needs to find a way. Mr. Cora there needs to find a way to fire up these guys, and I'm not sure what the heck it is that he needs to do, but fire them up, get them ready, get them going, and just right the ship as best they can. Again, no expectation, but hey, guys, let's see how far we can go with this.
Yeah.
Let's see how far. We got to do better. They need better coaching. I know that, because their base running is horrible. They're leaving men on base. That they just have to be better. Period. That's all I can say. I
Late
can't say
game
anything
relief
else.
pitching too. Late game relief pitching stands out recently as well as another.
Everything.
Yeah,
I mean, scoring 20 runs against the Baltimore Orioles, you and me and the Pro-Am team of Craig and Kyle could score 20 points against the Baltimore
the
Orioles.
Rivers
Okay,
Counter, the Rivers
please.
Counter softball team could score 20 runs against the Orioles.
The 85 and up softball team could score 20 runs against the Baltimore Orioles.
Although,
I'm just telling you.
you have to remember, we did put up 20 runs against the Rays. So I mean, I'm just saying we've shown capability to put up big offensive numbers against tougher competition.
Yes, but it needs to be more consistent. They
I
need to
know.
figure out a way to be more
I agree with
consistent.
that completely. Absolutely.
Get themselves out of the hole. You got to go game to game. Don't think about the other games. Just think about one game at a time. Kick
Like
some
Bill
ass in that
Belichick
game and
does,
just keep going. Just keep going
do
and
your
keep going and
job.
keep going. All right, so we are at the time where we are going to take a shower and cleanse ourselves of this particular episode. Hey, listen,
I
you
will
never
say this:
know.
I did
Things
not.
should get better.
And maybe I should have, but I was able to kind of control my ranting a little bit, at least be a little bit productive, and not just launch into an hour-long tirade. So
I was prepared for that. I was prepared for the hour-long tirade. So I mean,
hey, listen. Though, if you bring up any time you want an hour-long tirade, Doug, you know what my trigger word is: extra inning runner rule.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to go there this time. So what it comes down to is that we are at the toward the end of our episode where we do our final thoughts for the evening.
Final thoughts, yes.
So final thoughts. So Robbie, what is your final thoughts for this Red Sox Sinking Ship episode of the Sports Blitz?
Yes. So my final thought is partially baseball related. There are a lot of rights of summer, obviously, in life and in the sports world, and two of them are back this summer after sort of a year's hiatus. One being the Little League World Series, which I actually was watching a couple of the games this afternoon before we came on air. They're from good old Williamsport, Pennsylvania. And the other is NFL preseason football, which is back, albeit 3 games this year instead of the 4 that it has been in the past. The Patriots, of course, for those who don't know, are currently playing their second preseason game in Philadelphia as we sit here on this episode of the Sports Blitz. And I want to say that there are a couple of things, seeing those in action, but also a couple of the caveats or sort of the behind the scenes stuff sort of did give me, at least for a moment, a sense of sort of normal summer sports watching. The Little League World Series in general, gave me definitely a sort of normal sense of late summer, appointment television. But then the bigger one was, and I know Doug and I were talking about this off air, was that for tonight's Patriots preseason game, which is the first road preseason game, first of back-to-back road preseason games coming up, the Patriots broadcast crew, good old Bob Sosi and Scott Zolak of 98.5 The Sports Hub, great station, by the way. Also home to a one Mike Sarge Riley, who great guest of the Sports Blitz. Always appreciate him. But they were actually in Philadelphia calling the game from the opposing broadcast booth for the first time since 2019. Obviously, last year they were calling road games from Gillette Stadium, from an empty Gillette Stadium home broadcast booth. So to see them actually there just made the call of the game and the broadcast feel much more normal. Because I was saying this to Doug off air, and I know it's kind of too late for this season, but I hope, starting right up from the start next year, for baseball, again, going back to the baseball, that we can have the road broadcasters actually in the building, on the road for these games. Because I think it adds more to the broadcast to have them there than trying to sort of guess, as I was talking about, with Doug, sort of, trying to guess what's going on in certain situations from watching on a screen the size of this computer that I have in front of me, or this tablet. So to see at least a glimpse of returning to the old broadcast setup of actually being on the road with your team was a very good sight. So I think, having those two things back this summer, was really, really great to see. Obviously, they're sort of clouded in the, sort of the idea that, we are definitely not back to normal yet. I know for the Little League World Series, it is, in terms of fans in the stands, it is parents and friends only, basically, for the teams, sort of team family members only. So there definitely, are still those sides that, we're not where we want to be yet by any means, but to have those two things at least back and be able to, watch these events that we've become accustomed to during summertime on television is a good step forward, if not a small one. So, Doug, that is my final thought for episode number 92, and now I will toss it back over to you for your final thought for tonight's episode.
My final thoughts. I have two final thoughts, and my final thought, the first final thought I have is that it's actually an old friend of Boston sports, who's actually trying to get back in, and it's Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah,
is trying to get back into the NBA. He was just recently at a Pro-Am league game and scored 81 points. Yes, I did say 81 points.
did Peyton Pritchard jump 92 in a game that was separate from like the NBA summer league?
Yes, it was at a Pro-Am game that he had scheduled. He actually left summer league and actually scored, I believe it was 91 points.
Oh, 91,
92,
yeah.
but I think it was 91. What's interesting about the Pro-Am is that there's virtually no defense whatsoever. So that's what happens in the Pro-Am games. But that's okay.
Hence the 81 and 91 points.
Yeah, hence the very, very big scoring from these two big scorers. What's good about Peyton Pritchard is that he looked really, really good in summer league. But besides that, Isaiah Thomas is trying to get back into the league, which I think is great. I don't, and this is just my opinion, I don't think the Celtics are necessarily interested, just because they do have Peyton Pritchard, and he's like a very close to an Isaiah Thomas type player. I know he went out and to LA, the Lakers, to work out for them, and it's possible. Haven't heard anything yet, but it is possible that they may want him, which makes sense because the Lakers are basically picking up everybody that's over 30 years old to play on their team. So that totally makes sense. Carmelo Anthony being one of them. So it's one of those things where I am absolutely 100% rooting for this guy. I would like everybody who's who even watches Boston sports to go and YouTube some of the stuff that Isaiah Thomas has done recently. I know after the Pro-Am game, he was very, very emotional about trying to get back in. He has worked really super hard to try to get back into the NBA, which is really what he wants to do right now. He was really, really emotional, saying something like, "Oh, they gave up on me," and blah blah. Not talking about the Celtics, but talking about the NBA in general. He's just been. I'm rooting for him to be on the Celtics. guys, I'm going to tell you right now. I know I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen. It would be a surprise to me if it would happen. And it's not that I don't think he could, help us because he could. But again, I think we have somebody like Peyton Pritchard who is that scoring off the bench that we need, even on second or third string toward the end of the game if we need some threes or that kind of thing. So I don't think that's going to happen, but I hope that he ends up on a team because I will tell you, it doesn't matter unless he's on the Lakers. I will not win for the Lakers. I will not win for them, but I will absolutely, no matter what team he's on, I will absolutely win for Isaiah Thomas because he is the epitome of just a good guy who just wants to do what he loves. And that's everything that I've read on him. All the research I've done says that this is and he put his heart and soul out for us. So as far as I'm concerned, somebody doing that, that's a Larry Bird type. That's a Tom Brady type. That's, Teddy Bruschi type. That's a Kevin Garnett type. Patrice Bergeron type. Chara type. Those are the kinds of guys. Yeah, those are the kinds of guys, athletes that I'm talking about in the Boston area that have just really, kicked ass for us, and the emotional part is there too for us and for them. So I wish him good luck.
Yeah.
From the Sports Blitz, we'll be watching. We hope you get onto a team. The other thing that I have really quickly is that I'm super excited for to see all of these podcasts that are out. And I know we were going to do this in a little bit, but I'm going to do it right now. We have On the Couch Talking Sports with Robbie and Kyle. You got to see those episodes. Even the episode number 159. I have no idea what that episode's about, but it's awesome. They have close to 300 episodes made. And it's fantastic.
I don't remember what episode 159 is about. So
no idea. I threw it out as a number I just brought up. Watch episode number 273. It's really, really good because they actually play a really cool game. And watch that episode. But again, On the Couch Talking Sports with Robbie and Kyle. We have a new episode that just came out with Marvel at the Movies with Kyle and me. And it's a great episode. You guys are going to love this one. And of course, what else do we have? We got the Sports Blitz, of course, here. And my brother Josh is actually putting together a podcast too. It's actually Restaurant Nightmares. And yeah, it's Gordon Ramsay.
That sounds like
it's going to be fantastic. He's got a whole bunch of his friends that are going to be talking about each episode of Gordon Ramsay's show. It should be fantastic. It should be awesome. I will make sure that with whatever podcast I put out, that I make sure I know exactly when his are. You could find him on YouTube right now. He's kind of throwing out some lives and some different stuff.
By the way, another great guest of the Sports Blitz, Josh Diamond. By the way,
yes, of course, yes. Josh has been on our show, and so yeah, check that out. It's Josh Z. You could just plug in Josh Z and then kind of scroll down. You'll be able to see him. I think he was on a couple of lives. They were only, 7 to 15 minutes or something like that. He's just kind of feeling it out a little bit right now, but he's going to have an episode out really soon, his first episode. So look for that. And yeah, so Robbie, what mediums are we on? Let's list them.
Hey folks, listen, we are on YouTube, of course, right here where you're hopefully watching us. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We are on SoundCloud. If you don't really want to look at our faces,
yes. If you're a person from 1943, we have SoundCloud for those people who are who don't know how to get Spotify or iTunes. No, it's all cool. We are on SoundCloud. Just in case you're working, you want to listen to us as opposed to see.
Correct. No, you're right. No, I mean, obviously, we hope that you are, obviously, personally, we hope that you are watching us here on YouTube. But listen, like you said, if if you're at work or something like that, and just want to drop us a quick listen on SoundCloud as well, we love to hear from you. By the way, some of our older episodes before we made the jump to video are just on SoundCloud as well, so you can find
That's correct.
a lot of old content from Doug and I there in the SoundCloud archives as well.
That's
Actually,
correct,
I will since I don't think I've ever actually done this, I will actually in the description below I will post a link to our sort of SoundCloud page, so to speak. So folks can check that out if you so wish. But yeah, we're all over, Doug, and just continuing to pump out some great episodes on all three podcast fronts, and definitely having a great time with it all. So, and by the way,
Yeah,
I
and
do
also,
want to
go ahead.
no, I
Go ahead.
do, and I may be stealing your thunder here, and if so, I apologize. But I do want to give a quick shout out not only to Kyle, but to also another buddy of ours. His name is Craig, who is a on a couch talking sports legendary guest, along with Doug, obviously. The four of us got together this past weekend to play some mini golf. Shout out Golf Country, located in scenic Middleton, Massachusetts. We had a great time, and just wanted to give Craig a quick shout out as well. I know at some point there may be a cameo from him coming up, at least on Marvel at the Movies, and who knows, maybe we'll try to get him on a episode of the Sports Blitz as well. He's a big sports guy, so definitely Craig will be a name that you hear again on these mediums. So shout out to both Kyle and Craig.
Absolutely. The mini golf pro-am was fantastic. It was awesome. And I believe that if you watched some of the episodes, these podcasts, we're going to have some video and maybe some pictures on of the pro-am of us doing. We're also on Facebook too, so you can certainly try to find us. And I know I put some pictures and some video on. So some of it's actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks to Craig and Kyle and of course Robbie and me. It was a fun time. We're going to do it again, and we're looking forward to it. So right now, we're all set for this week for this episode of the Sports Blitz. Remember that our sponsor is Ziman Organizing. We will have a link to Ziman Organizing in the description. So hey, listen. We need subs, man. We need subs. And I'm not talking about ham and cheese or meatball. We need the ones that you click and hit the bell. Click and hit that bell.
That's right.
Subscribe and hit the bell for us, because that's how we get better. We want to see your comments, good or bad, because we want to get better too. So if Robbie's really boring and he's putting you to sleep, then please tell us, because we need to know. I'm sorry, I'm just kidding. But we really do need to know what's going on with our podcast, so we can get better too. So please throw comments in there. We want to know any themes that you want us to talk about, any topics you want us to talk about. So throw us a comment, and we will absolutely comment back to you. And again, I'm Doug. That's Robbie over there. Actually, he's over there. He's probably over there. He might be over there. I don't know where he is. Where are you, Robbie? Are you there? I don't know.
I'm a figment of your imagination. You can't see me.
Yeah. I don't know about that. Anyway, we had fun tonight. Thank you so much. And thanks so much. We'll see you very soon. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everybody.